Hey, what's up everybody? Landon with LMR.com. Today we're checking out FFP Customs 1979 to 1993 Fox Body Mustang lift support kit. This is a pretty neat kit considering kind of the good old-fashioned engineering in the 79 to 93 coupe, which basically supports the trunk via a tension spring or a tension rod setup. We're gonna open this one up, show you what you get. It's a very simple kit. It's made right here in the USA. Right off the bat, you'll get a little baggie of hardware that has everything you need in terms of the hardware. I'm just gonna pull one of the brackets out. We'll see which one it is. Top D, that's the driver's side top bracket. So that's gonna go on the driver's side, and this area here is going to go on the top. The same thing for the passenger side bracket. I believe this one here says top P. So that'd be this section here go on the top, and that one would go on the passenger side. So two brackets that mount to the side of the trunk, and then we also have one lift support, two lift support. These aren't size specific. You can install these on the driver's side, you can install these on the passenger side. It does not matter. You won't get those mixed up or flip-flop. So set the box down. You also get a little decal here and instructions. It's also important to note when you're doing this stuff, don't over tighten any of your hardware. We will have to modify the trunk liners to accept the two studs that will retain the side brackets to the side of the trunk. And then other than that, removing your tension springs or tension rods, whatever you want to call them. You'll want to have some eye protection just in case. You'll want to use gloves. You'll also need some padding to protect the side of the car. Those will be under load. Whenever you remove, the tension rod from the knots, allowing it to have tension, those will release pretty forceful manner. So you'll want to be careful, and you'll see it happen here in just a moment. So we're going to jump over here to this black coupe. This is Dragula. Y'all have seen this one on the channel. It's been around for a while. There's a lot of cars that would be a good candidate for this trunk lift support, but just the overall theme of this car, this is really deserving of this kit. So that's why we chose this car to install it. So first things first, I had the trunk open. It's real simple. You just insert your key. It pops, you open it. The tension rods are still in place. That's why the trunk is still supported. Your light's gonna stay on, so you can either take the light out. It's gonna be hot as heck, so I wouldn't do that. You can disconnect the negative battery cable, or you can do what we did. I just hooked up a battery charger to the battery. That way we can just kind of, go at our own pace and not have to worry about messing with any of the battery cable stuff. And for a lot of you, you may not even have a trunk light back here. Step one, we're gonna remove the trunk liner. These just set in place and they pull out real simple like. Next thing, we're going to remove the rear panel. It's held in place with some push pins. This one's plastic. You can use metal. You won't really tear these liners up. Just be careful. You don't pry too hard because these will crack. Okay, there's those two push pins, and we also have one push pin on the outward edges of the rearward liner. Got one more over here. Pop that one free. We're good to go. If your trunk liner is installed correctly, the trunk weather strip, the lip of this is over the edge of your trunk liner. So what you may have to do, you just may have to gently pull up the weather strip and kind of just set it like so. That way you can fully remove your trunk liner. Like I said, that's the correct way that these should be installed. So I'm just gonna go till the pinch weld here where there's like an extra piece of metal. That's kind of your stopping point. And then you can situate your rearward trunk liner past the latch or past the striker and then manipulate it out of the way. Be careful if you still have one that's not cracked. It's probably a rare occurrence. This one's cracked, but the way those crack is people just start ripping them out, not paying attention. So if you still have one that's not all beat to heck, pay attention when you're taking it out. So moving on, the side panels, you have a push pin right here. We're gonna go ahead and remove that one. All right, we got one more push pin up here, just forward of the pivot arm. I don't think it's actually installed into anything. I just knocked it out anyway. So with that one out of the way, now we can remove one of the side trunk liners. And then we'll go and do the same thing for the other side. Oh wow, this one's holding on for dear life. This one's actually installed in its correct location. And then we'll move the other side trunk liner. Okay, here's gonna be your two mounting holes, here and here. That was your push pin hole. So what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna set the liner back into place, center the liner around the push pin hole, and just measure our distance of how far we need to go out, and then transfer my mark to the liner and then drill the hole. I think that's gonna be the best way to go about doing this. And if you figure out a better way that works more efficient for you, by all means, go for it. So what we have to pay attention here on these holes, this is at a slight angle. It's not straight is what I'm getting at here. I'll hold my little pocket ruler up and you can see what I'm referring into. So you'll have to kind of take that into consideration whenever you go to mark these holes. But I'm gonna use my pocket ruler here and just find the center to center length. So the rearward hole, the hole closest to the rear of the car from the push pin hole is about, we're gonna call that 50 millimeters. And then this one here, 71, 2, 3, about 73 millimeters, no, 72. So 72 and 50. So we'll transfer that to this here. Find the center of that hole, and we'll go, this one was just a touch down. This hole here, in reference to the push pin hole, is just a little bit lower, so that's where I'm gonna place it. Should have used a silver Sharpie, but I think y'all can probably see that. And this one over here, we're gonna go 72. And this one here was also lower in the center of this one, so I'm gonna go just a touch lower, and then we'll do 70. Okay, there's our 2 mark. Now, per the instructions, those need to be 9/16 holes. Get a drill ready. So we'll get our mark here, slow and steady. This drill's pretty easy because of the material. We'll drill this away from the car. And we're there. We're gonna test fit this back into the car. Well, I'll say that couldn't have gotten any better right there. All right, we'll set this aside. We'll just lay it down. If you want to, you can go ahead and wipe this area clean. If there's some dirt and there's some debris, we're gonna go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, look at there. We did have some dirt on there. So 2 of the provided 3/8 bolts. These are gonna go into those larger holes on either side of the hole for the push pin. Now you're gonna take 2 of the low pro lock nuts and install those over or onto these bolts. And these will now act as studs. We'll have to turn these with a tool because of the locking, the nylock locking mechanism inside the nut. So we'll get us some tools and get those rolling. We're going double socket. Now you can use pneumatic tools or electric socket driver if you want. Kind of at an awkward angle too up under here, but it is what it is. Okay, and we just want to snug that down. It's gonna act as a stud, and we'll just do the same thing here for the other one. All right, so this is a bit overkill, but I got gloves and some glasses. It never hurts to be prepared. Got an old floor mat, and I'm gonna put this on the tire hump, because whenever you release this tension rod, it is gonna shoot straight down onto the body of the car. And if you don't wanna get any scratches or anything like that, I would highly suggest you have something here to protect it. So while you do this, you just lift up and it's gonna come shooting down. So whenever you lift up and you clear the hook right here, just let it do its thing. Here we go. Goodness gracious sakes alive. Well, our pad's trapped for now until we can get the other side loose. So, all right, 2 floor mats. You may want something with a little bit more padding. All right, so same thing for the other side here. And then that's gonna come down just like that. We'll be ready for it. Maybe a little rubber mallet. What's the worst that'll happen? God bless America. So that's how that works. So just be careful with your tension rods. I'm just gonna kind of set this down. This trunk's heavy. You don't want this thing to hit you. Whenever you go to remove these, either have this supported on both sides, one side, or have a friend help hold it up. But the way these work is they twist. I don't know if I'll be able to show you a good explanation off of the car, but the way they work, this flatter rod here, those are what rotate counterclockwise and install going toward the rear into the pivot arm. And then these are what pulled the tension and clipped into those hooks in the body of the car. The way that they interact by, of course, the motion of the trunk lid and the torsion or the tension, you know, whenever it's lifted up, basically you create a bind, and that's what holds your trunk up. Probably not the most accurate explanation or engineered terminology, and you know, whenever they're sitting in there, that's exactly how they're operating. Again, just be super, super careful when you remove these. You're gonna come out with some force. All right, so kind of janked, but we've got a jack handle on those floor mats, and then we've got a microfiber towel. There's a lot of like I said in this video. If you feel more confident with having somebody hold it, go that route. And this can slip and move, and you do not want this thing to hit you in the noggin. All right, we're gonna take our modified trunk liner, get it back in the car. For the final time, that push pin will no longer be used since the brackets is what's gonna hold the trunk liner in place. Okay, slight alteration. Instead of the recommended 9/16 through holes in the trunk liner, I did 5/8. That way we get a better clearance here around the lock nut. This is a press fit, so you're gonna want to work this past the nut. We're gonna take our driver top, so I'm gonna go one way. Thread on your acorn nuts by hand, and then we can tighten these down. We want these snug. Don't over tighten this stuff. Okay, now we are going to remove the top bolt. That's going to be an 8mm or a 5/16. We'll take one of the provided flat washers with the threaded ball stud. And what I like to do, this is the way I've always been, but if you get a washer that's got some lettering or numbers or something along the lines of that, always face it towards your panel. That way you don't see that stuff. Personal preference, it's just the way I've always been. Flat washer over the threaded ball stud, and then we'll thread that into the spot where we just removed that previous bolt. We'll get the right size socket and get that snug down. Take our 10mm deep socket, and then we'll fully tighten this threaded ball stud. Don't have to crank on this stuff. All you gotta do is snug it down. All right, we're ready for a strut. I always like to lubricate the ball studs with some white lithium grease. So just take a drop on your finger like so, and just kind of lubricate the ball stud. You could also put this into the cavity on the lift support. I've always just done it on the ball stud. Probably a little bit overkill. Times you're really in your trunk, it's not much, but this is one of those things, kind of just best practice. Okay, so lift supports, the body of the support always faces towards the component or the part that you're supporting. This is gonna face towards the trunk, and you can just clip these into place. This isn't aligning, that's okay. It's because our support is pushing the trunk too far up. So what we can do, we can kind of just re-clock this thing just a little bit, or have your friend just articulate it enough to where you can clip this other side. Oh, that's cool, man. And that single strut should hold it up while you finish installing the other side. Just to be on the safe side, we're gonna support it anyway. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jam on this passenger side, and then we'll wrap things up.
20 minutes later.
Okay, we got everything finished up. Brackets are on, lift supports are on. Now we're gonna reinstall these push pins that were more forward on the side trunk liners. Okay, now we'll do the rear. And there's always one. Put up a fight, there we go. Okay, now when you reinstall the weather strip, make sure the lip on the weather strip goes over the edge of the rear trunk liner. Make sure you tuck that correctly down there by the back seat where it starts to go into the rear seat area. All right, I think that's a wrap. I really like that. That really cleaned up. Well, take that back. Not really cleaned it up, but it did add some modernization, to the 79 and 93 Fox body trunk area. These brackets are really nice. You can get these in black anodized or natural billet aluminum, and the pocket milling is really nice as well. That adds a nice dimension to the bracket. You can kind of see that real nice, pretty pocket milling inside of there, but everything fit exceptionally well. Well-engineered kit. Like I said, I really like this, and for especially those folks, that want something a little bit more modern. This is what most of your modern cars have, versus antiquated torsion spring setup, or torsion rod setup, whatever you want to call it. We'll go ahead, I'll shut this, that way y'all can see kind of the force, what you're dealing with. I always like to take a microfiber towel on any car. Yes, I know that's overkill. Slow release design, just like you want, but it just didn't come flying up anymore. Oh, that's sweet. I like it. 2 thumbs up. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. If you find value in our videos, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on notifications. That way you're notified every time we release something new. And then until we catch you in the next one, y'all know what to do for all things Fox Body Mustang. Keep it right here with the real enthusiasts, LMR.com.